Just a reminder, today's conference is being recorded.
Good morning. We're going to be demonstrating the IEEE USA TechMatch Advisory Group. This is a webinar intended to help the folks that are going to be advising the entrepreneurs that are members of IEEE. Prior to this, you would have created your own user account on our site, would have logged in, and would have clicked on the group under the My Groups, which would be under this heading over here under IEEE. So we're at the group homepage right now called IEEE TechMatch. Let's do a little bit of screen topology. All of our dashboards are on the left-hand side here. Information on the deals, some administrative tools. Again, this menu would vary by user. There are some administrative tools here that just group admins have. And the groups that you're a member of, generally this would be just one group here, which would say IEEE. For demo purposes, obviously I'm a member of several groups. There's some information here as well across the top, normally in view mode. And here's the dialog box that explains what the organization's about. And then we'll see a list of the active deals. This would be the deals that would be needed to be worked on and reviewed and coached. We're in a preview pane. We're going to review the sample deal here in a second. Then I'll take you to a production site where you can see how it looks with a number of deals in a various production site. So this is what's called the preview pane, kind of like Microsoft Outlook. There's up to 3 lines of text per deal. Hyperlink that'll take us to that deal vault. And these deals can be sorted by alphabetic. They were submitted, various industry sector. You can see these type of sort variables right here. Other information, if there's information that the IEEE wants to talk to you about, we'll post it down here in certain updates and emails. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on the deal and take us into what we call the deal vault. This deal vault includes all the information that the entrepreneur has submitted on their deal, plus comments that have been submitted by the members that have reviewed the deal. So we'll go ahead and walk through the top to the bottom here and covering some of this information. And then later in our demonstration, we'll take you to the root material that the entrepreneur produces so you can see the actual forms that they fill out. This is a combination of 2 forms and a survey that we have the entrepreneur fill out. The forms are the investment summary, which captures information about the investment, and a benchmark survey, which tells us information about the entrepreneur and their team. So the first few questions are some information on the company and the stage of development. Some of these things are very key, and they're must-fill fields because it helps later in not only sorting the organizations, but helping finding the right type of investor at a later stage. Industry sector. Then we'll get into the investment specifics of the opportunity the entrepreneur is seeking. How much money, the type of deal structure. Again, this is flexible. If they know the pre-money valuation, which is how much the company might be worth, we always ask for them to tell us what they're going to spend the money on. Next, we show a summary of the benchmark report. Again, we'll take you to the detail what this benchmark survey looks like. It's a series of 30 questions. The first 15 questions are demographic information, name, address, email address, and information. And we also ask the date the company started, whether it's achieved revenue or not, profitability, or any return on investment. With some of the research the business Catapult has done, using some of the information we gather from the Small Business Administration, we know that a lot of companies, 7 out of 8 fail, but 4 out of 8, if they achieve year 2 to 3 and achieve revenue and some profitabilities and have the ability to pay back some of their initial return on investment, have a greater chance of success. We apply some of those principles in this survey. And the survey reflects the information that the entrepreneur is rating and scoring himself against other entrepreneurs that have taken the survey that have been deemed to be successful. So the entrepreneur is going to be getting some feedback. This is a self-scoring and self-completed survey. It takes them about 15 to 20 minutes. The remaining 15 questions are like a mini behavioral interview. We ask the entrepreneur to be truthful with the information on that, to tell us about the products. In this case, we'll look through the questions. There's 3 sections: market and strategy, for investment and investors, and the entrepreneur and their team. And there's no right or wrong answer here, but what we're looking for is their answer akin to a correlative variable of success between what other people have answered. So there's some broad ranges. The green represents the range of answers that fall in the correlation of success, and a red coming back and a yellow diamond outside the green bar might mean you're something you should be looking at. So going through this survey in a fairly quick fashion as a deal screener and deal reviewer, I would look, this entrepreneur is targeting their opportunity at a very large target market, both from the total target available market and the target market that they think they can achieve at the end of year 3. This is an area that we want to make sure that they're looking at the right size of market. Some of the coaching that we like to provide entrepreneurs is, it's great to have a great target market of $3 billion, but you want to target a smaller defensible market that you can be an expert in. So this is one that we probably go look and see what's their demographic information on the target market. This particular, let's scroll down to investment and investors. Since this person has been in this entrepreneur for a little while, they're actually out there seeking angel and VC money. The reason these fall off the scale on that, because only 1% of companies that actually seek angel money, and about 0.3% that seek VC money actually achieve that. As we all know, there's many other ways to fund companies, through friends and family, through sweat equity, through bootstrapping, SBA loans. We prefer to have those exhausted first. Going on to the next section on the entrepreneur and the team, there's some really key information here that we look at. One of the things is that the number of years of product experience is a low correlative variable of success versus number of years of sales experience. So what we've seen in the people, and these are the people that are responding to the survey, this looks like what we would call a developer's profile, a person that has a great deal of product experience in the marketplace, has not had the experience necessarily being a customer of this product, and can sell if they have to. Remember, these are the CEOs generally taking the survey. So for early stage companies, that's something that's a flag that we'd want to look at. When I see a score like that, I would be looking to see in their executive summary, who's the salesperson that's going to be responsible for selling. We probably know the person responding to the survey is the product visionary. One of the areas of concern here is the lack of startup experience. Outside investors like to look for good teams, solid teams, but also like to look at people that have done it, raised money and returned money before. This person is about average on negotiations, and looks like their P&L experience is less than the money that they're asking for. And they appear to have very confident in their ability to succeed. This is, again, a typical profile that Business Catapult has seen on a variety of technical plans, hundreds of them over the last couple of years. So as a representative sample, this might be one that you might see quite often. From this, before we even open up the executive summary, which we can scroll down here in a second, what my summary would be is I would be concerned about who's raised and returned money on this team. They need some help as a financial help or chief operating officer for deal negotiation, and I'm not quite sure who the salesperson is going to be. So I'm really interested in looking at some of their team information when that comes up. I'm also interested in looking at their sales and marketing plans to see if they tie to that information, and seeing if the financials and the valuations make sense. Scrolling down to the rest of the opportunity here, we see that there's a 5-year exit, about $10 million valuation at exit, and the anticipated is to sell the organization. This is where the entrepreneur would attach their executive summary. When we go back and look at the blank file upload, there's an opportunity to upload multiple files and a URL for a video pitch if desired. We'll look at that in a few minutes. Next we get to, oops, scroll down too far. the part of the toolkit that benefits both the entrepreneur and then the potential advisor. This is a self-scoring checklist. Again, we ask the entrepreneur to provide some honesty and say, what is included in your executive summary? These are things that we strongly recommend and actually require you to put into an executive summary. Value propositions, example, market strategy, how you win, information on the team. And the following is the other information that's recommended. If the entrepreneur actually, when they fill this out, before they submit, they get information on their completeness score and other error checking, which we'll see in a minute. But from looking at this checklist, I know, again, before I open up the executive summary, that there's missing things here, as we talked about. We saw that on the benchmark survey that they didn't have enough sales experience, and sure enough, they don't have a description of their sales plan embedded in this executive summary. And we saw that they had a little bit weak on the financial, and they don't have a brief summary on the financial projections. So we know we've got an incomplete plan going in. We could save our time in reviewing this. Those are some of the simple things. And scrolling down, you see some of the other information that areas that we know already. We can coach them on IP protection, company valuation, information on the sales engine. Scrolling down below here, some contact information on the entrepreneur. Again, their email address and name. And then as a exploded box here called recommendations. This is one of the final checks that the entrepreneur gets before they submit the opportunity to the IEEE TechMatch group. It actually pops back up in pink on their site and says there's some things you want to look at. There's a few items on your checklist you haven't checked. And in this case, we do some error checking or some sanity checking. The portion of the company that this entrepreneur was offering was smaller than the desired investment divided by your post-money valuation, meaning there was an implied discount there. And we see this often, or they get it as a premium. We also have some error checking on number of years to exit and number of multiples of return on investment, just to make sure the entrepreneur has not slipped a digit or put in a wrong number. That's quite helpful to clean up some of the basic information the entrepreneur needs to produce. Next, we look at, below that would be that concludes the entrepreneur section of this report here. The next is the section which would be the collaborative workspace, where the group would get on and produce some comments. In this case, remember, it's a test deal, and one of our screeners has said the deal looks pretty good. There's a score of a 3 out of 10. We'll look at the scoring guidelines here in a minute. And what this workspace is designed to be is when the deal screeners are finished reviewing the deals, they'd scroll down to the bottom, they'd type their subject in. In this case, it might be, need, you can see I've done something, need some financials information would be the title. I could come in here and post a comment. And then hit save, and it's going to save the comment to the deal, and it'll put this comment on top of the previous comment. You can see it says it's a new comment since it's been screened. It goes in inverse order, and this is where the teams that are reviewing the opportunities can provide information. These comments are given back to the entrepreneur with the names and the actual scoring stripped off. They see those comments. So, and we'll show you that a little bit later, how that can be done, a very simple administrative task. So this is we've concluded the deal screening opportunity using some of the benchmark survey and investment summary tools. What I'm now going to do is we'll go back to the group home here. And what I want to do is just to show you in the production site what it looks like. This is a production site that we just finished a conference here in one of our communities. This happens to be the Colorado Capital Conference. We happen to have 75 active deals that was recently screened in a number of rounds. And some of these deals have opportunities we've moved through various stages of review. Let's just click on one of these opportunities here very quickly. And You can see this person had a lot of good word tags, which is good. It's helpful in sorting and helpful for the entrepreneur and the advisors. See what a full-fledged opportunity it looks like here. In this case, the person had a very robust, it's a very senior entrepreneur in terms of the benchmark survey, so very few red flags. It does have a $100 million valuation at exit, so there's some areas of concern I would look at. And the checklist looks fairly complete, with the exception of some deal summary information and financial metrics. Let's just take a quick look at some of the recommendations here. Again, they had a challenge on giving the right percentage of the company offered. Again, the entrepreneur has the opportunity to fix that before they submit it. And we see that there's some comments that have been provided by the team here. So that's how this kind of looks in the production environment. And another thing I want to highlight for the deal reviewers is there's an alternative way of looking at the deals, and this is a way of looking at by those that have the number of comments and the average score. So one of the things that we'll talk about in a little bit is each opportunity we're looking to have multiple deal screeners look at. We figured at least 3 screeners per opportunity, and what we're looking for out of all the advisory groups, especially here at the TechMatch, is someone that can comment on the core technology if there's risk there. Someone can comment on the financial part of that opportunity, that understands and has financial acumen skills, not just accounting, but understands the financial evaluations that are being presented there and the opportunity on the deal. And the third would be the key cornerstone, kind of the third leg of the stool, would be the marketing information, the go-to-market strategy. Those would be key skills to be able to provide in terms of comments to the entrepreneur. And so the workflow for that will be discussed in a little bit as to how we manage that. But this is the opportunity to look for those opportunities that don't have a number of screeners and comments, be able to jump on, screen the opportunity, provide your comments. Going back to one of the things our IEEE group, told you I'd let you look at the scoring guidelines. It's helpful until you're familiar with the scoring guidelines. We use a very simple score sheet here, 0 to 10 stars. And looking at the opportunity from 5 perspectives: the market, the investment, the team, their ability to deliver, and do they have a compelling product or service offering that is compelling into the industry and changing and innovative. And that will total up to 10 stars. So we look for people to provide that information, and this is helpful in addition to just the comments that are being provided to the entrepreneur. Next, what I wanted to do was to show the source material that feeds the deal information. And what we've done, when the entrepreneur logs in, they're taken to the entrepreneur home screen. Again, this is because I'm in my demo account, there's multiple opportunities and multiple test deals that I've created. But they'll be taken to a home screen. It's a 3-step process. They take the survey, they take an investment summary, and they submit their opportunity. And then each step through the process, when they finish the one step, it says, go on to the next step. Or they come back to the screen that says, go on to the next step here, go on to the next step here, submit to IEEE. So there's multiple ways to direct them to that process. Let's go look at the core benchmark survey form here. We tell folks it takes about 15 to 30 minutes when they get a fresh cup of coffee. There's some information most of the information that we find here, people have at their fingertips, and it shouldn't take more than about 15 minutes. They may have to take a little bit of time off to write their elevator pitch. But you can see a lot of this information we use for the dash information, the industry, corporation, information on the entrepreneur, their opportunity. Here's some of those performance milestones we talked about. When did this company start? Revenue start if they've got revenue. profit start and ROI. Those are great predictors for success in any company and in any industry. Next comes the root of the benchmark survey, these 15 questions. Let's just focus on this first one for a second. So how unique is a business idea? You had 4 points to the answer if you can issue one or more patents to protect your business idea. So this is one that's going to be addressing the technological risk that an entrepreneur is trying to mitigate and investors are looking for. One of the things that we do is the way these questions are asked is the investors are looking at an entrepreneurial opportunity through the eyes of risk management. Is there risk in the technology? Is there risk in the team? Is there risk in the return on investment? Is there risk in the market? Is there risk in the product or service? So we try to ask those questions to solicit a very honest reply, to have a good open dialogue between the advisors and eventually investors in the opportunity. So we'll scroll through the rest of this survey here. You can see these are either pull-down menus, so we'll see some radio buttons here. Again, funding source, none needed, money in the bank, friends and families, or angel investors. Again, being a self-scoring, people are looking at this, can sell if I have to, I can manage sales. Again, we saw what happened is they're not going to see their score until later, but we find that people most of the time answer these questions very truthfully and honestly. And trying to get there is no right answer. If they answer this very well, it helps us point out the opportunities and where there's some vulnerabilities in the plan and in their team. When they conclude this, there's also some notes. They can provide notes and additional information. They can print that off. They save that. We're just going to go hit the back browser here. This will take us back to the entrepreneur's home. And we're going to create a new investment summary. Look at this core document here. Now, the investment summary, having been through this over the last couple of years, this takes a little bit of work. There's some information. This may be a couple of log-on sessions. What we find is people finish the benchmark survey, they get to here. These fields that look duplicative will be pre-filled out, the company information that we've already asked. But there's some questions here that they may not know the answers to. Again, stage of company development is very key because we find out what a lot of investors, what they're looking for. These days, a lot more investors are looking for cash flow positive opportunities. But people expect different things and different levels of sophistication from a concept company versus somebody who's already returning the investment. And that's certain investors that are on the business catapult side only look at different types of opportunities. This is a key sort field for that. Again, the investment specifics, you can see the information, type of deal structure, and if you don't know if it's going to be debt or equity, you can check both. Partly it was just a lot of people don't know we're trying to get beyond that. I just need money to run the company and understand what you're going to be using the money for. The benchmark report, this is where it gets attached right here. We look through the project exit and timing, and then, excuse me, the anticipated exit strategy. Here's the file attachment area right now. They can either attach a web address for their executive summary or as a file upload. We're fairly generous in the size, 60 meg. Then in addition, we have opportunities to attach additional files. Some people would like to see the advisories, might want to see the business plan or an investor pitch, or as the IEEE has requested, a URL for a video presentation. Additional room for supplemental information. Again, keywords, this is again a very key area so that people can put in, say, software as a service, and which what you'll see here is it starts to self-populate if you wanted to do that. Things that are already in the database. Next, we come to the checklist, which is again it's always optional, but we really are encouraging the entrepreneurs to go through that. And the required information, recommended information, and conclude with the demographic information. And we ask them to go ahead and save their summary. When they've done that, the next dialog box comes to, would you like to submit to IEEE USA? And they click that, and then they'll be submitted, or they can come back to here and submit it this way. Then in the third area, they'll see their submitted documents. Now, the entrepreneur is in control of their documents, so that while it's in the possession of IEEE, if they choose to modify it, they have to recall it. The opportunity, that way the opportunity is always under the control of the entrepreneur. They can recall that. The entrepreneur can be given the comment fields, recall it, modify that, and resubmit that. And at a certain point in time, the advisory group that's reviewing the opportunity is going to make a decision that they're done with the opportunity. Either the entrepreneur is ready to seek some outside financing, they need more work to do, or they're unwilling to do more work, and the advisory team will be disengaging. So we think of working with the entrepreneurs as a three-step process. They're going to create an account. The review team will engage the opportunity with the entrepreneur. They'll provide feedback, and they'll decide the next steps. But in all cases, the review team will probably process these opportunities between a 30 and a 60-day process. We'll turn that information back to the entrepreneur, and we'll wish them the best of luck. The entrepreneur will get their information fairly simply when they choose to, for instance, release the comments to the entrepreneur, and that will be done by the IEEE admin. So there won't be the opportunity for the individual screener. And if there's some comments that are inappropriate, they can be deleted prior to that happening. This concludes our overview of the IEEE USA TechMatch management system advisory website for our entrepreneurs. We're going to open the floor for some questions.
No questions. As always, a point of either you did an outstanding job or you confused the hell out of everybody.
Dave, this is Morrow. I have a question. Can you go back to the entrepreneurs page?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have right now create new investment summary. You have a number of entries like K4 test deal, ACS test deal. Are that those sequential things?
Well, this is, you have to bear with me. I have a login account here for this demonstration, which is, I've got multiple test deals. Normally, you're going to see one row here, which would be, let's call this my deal, my benchmark survey. That's one. The average entrepreneur.
But you can have more. These could be drafts.
Absolutely, they can be drafts.
Okay, and then you would use one out of those.
Correct.
And how would I know, looking at this, which one is being used?
The ones that are being used are the ones that are submitted down here. These are the deals that are in review. So this is the group
down here. Okay, got it. So the rest of the stuff up above is drafts, or work in progress.
The raw material that created that. That's correct.
Okay.
We say when you need to edit a document, you need to recall it from review. That's the important thing. So what the IEEE we've talked about is going to happen is the entrepreneur will create an opportunity. The group members will log in. There's email triggers that can be set up for every time a deal pops in. An email is sent to the group members once a week. When the deal comes in and it hasn't been screened by that particular member, it's going to show a little red new by the deal here. It'll show up as new.
Okay.
As we're working through the committee, we'll be asking the committee members to take responsibilities to take the lead, screen these opportunities within a couple-week period of time, provide that information. Once they've concluded, let's say, the first round of information, release that information back to the entrepreneur, get the feedback, and decide what the next appropriate steps are. And then at a certain point of time, somewhere, again, probably before 60 days, we'll reach what's called a disengagement point. The advisory committee will have done as much as it can do and either go forward or not recommend go forward from the IEEE perspective.
Okay. In going back to the entrepreneur page, is the review committee only seeing what's been submitted?
Correct.
Okay, so the rest of the stuff is really internal to the entrepreneur content.
That's correct.
Okay. And when you say the committee releases it back to the entrepreneur, so the review group comments and stuff are not automatically released to the entrepreneur. There has to be an action.
Yes, it's a pretty simple action that would be done under under group administrators, and
okay.
The core group committee would go through here. There'd be a list of all the deals and opportunities under here, and click on individual opportunity, and they go through, and they could go ahead and release the comments to that opportunity, or release it to all the opportunities.
Okay, so it's all controlled. Each group, the entrepreneur himself, and the review committee or the review group have to take a positive action, some kind of a step, to release the information to the other group. That's
correct.
Okay.
And as we've discussed, the process flow for IEEE will most likely be a multi-step process. What we're trying to do is to take the entrepreneur. There will be entrepreneurs that are ready to go to the market and probably ready to go for investment. But there's other entrepreneurs that might be 12 to 18 months worth that need a little bit more work. They don't understand valuation models. Or I'll be honest, they may not have a go-to-market strategy. They need a chief sales officer.
Right.
So that will come to light, and that feedback will get back to the entrepreneur. And they may take, say, 90 days and say, let me go work on this, and I'll come back and resubmit when I finish this. And when they've completed the homework one way or the other way, the committee will be done with the opportunity. The entrepreneur will go on their way and make a decision to seek outside support and funding through the business Catapult.
I have two more questions. And one is, if I wanted to look at the summary of these exchanges, in other words, where the entrepreneur submitted his documentation, the review group released the comments to the entrepreneurs and back, and this could be a several-step process. Is there a summary page where I can see what happened, what the deal flow has been so far?
Right now is the summary information. It's a great question. Is based on a deal-by-deal opportunity. So, but one of the things we can look at for providing to the group administrators is an overall look at which deals have had information released or not. We'll capture that information, we're just not displaying it.
But there isn't a summary page that says, the entrepreneur submitted things at 3 different times and the review group responded 2 times.
No.
Okay.
You have to get into the individual opportunity. So you go into the opportunity, and it's going to show you the latest submitted date.
Okay.
With the last submitted date. And then, for instance, if we go through the comments here, Terry Wong commented on, for instance, this is a long time ago, on January 5th. And this is a comment that was just done today. So you'll be able to see the age of the comments and based upon those opportunities. So we do have that in a sense.
You have a history. It's just on the basis of comments. Okay.
Correct.
Now,
and we're only storing the last submitted date and time. Correct.
When you disengage, or the review group says we don't think you're ready, is that a veto or is that a recommendation to the entrepreneur?
Well, what we've agreed is that the IEEE will not recommend opportunities to go forward that are not ready for outside funding, because the IEEE would like to have those opportunities that look robust to reflect the the lineage that it came from the IEEE TechMatch, which would help the entrepreneur. So I think what we discussed is that those opportunities that are ready to go will be released to the entrepreneur with the intent that those comments would be provided to other prospective investors to say, here's an opportunity that was reviewed by IEEE TechMatch, and you can see what our thoughts were.
But the question was, if we get to the end of the cycle within the IEEE USA TechMatch, and the review or the administrator, somebody says, this deal shouldn't really go forward, would the entrepreneur then be allowed to continue, but not with the comments of the review group? How does it? Is it a veto where the review group can actually stop the entrepreneur, or can the review group say, we withdraw our comment, if you want to go forward, you're on your own?
Exactly. The review group can recall the comments. The entrepreneur, remember, is always in control of their data.
Okay.
Just like it would be on any website. And they can choose. Two things happen. Once the opportunity is out of the IEEE's hands, if the entrepreneur modifies it anyway, whether there's good or bad recommendations, those comments fall away because it's not under the control of the IEEE anymore. If they move directly from the IEEE to the Business Catapult Open Deal Flow, those positive comments will be submitted, and an opportunity which has those negative comments would not. That would be the ability to withdraw those comments.
So let me summarize what my understanding is. You get toward the end of the deal. If the entrepreneur wants to go forward, but the review committee says, no, we don't think so, the entrepreneur then loses all in terms of the deal going forward. Nothing the IEEE review group has done will be visible in the next step.
That's correct.
Then if the entrepreneurs, the IEEE review group says, yeah, we think you're ready, the entrepreneur can take the deal forward with the IEEE comment. However, the caveat is if he makes any changes to the deal, then the IEEE group comments go away.
That's correct. That's an important distinction because the IEEE is not in control of the opportunity, and that as we've seen, opportunities are like produce in your hydrator. They go, numbers change, projections change, financials change, and if it's changed from the last time those comments were made, they're not valid, and we've decided that those comments will disappear.
Okay. Well, I'm satisfied. Any other questions from anybody?
Yes, I have a question. This is John. It seems that this is ideal for the new entrepreneur who is starting a new business or has an idea that he is sort of finished. But what about a business that's been ongoing 5 to 10 years, has positive cash flow, but they want to raise money for a new project? Does this system work as well for that sort of thing?
I think it should very well, because what we're trying to do is, you can see where they would score on the benchmark survey. They'd be very senior. They'd probably be a little. They don't have to burn the lifeboats this time on the confidence. Their structure of their product and service offering would be less flexible, meaning they know exactly what they want. They have a lot more experience, and so that would show up in the benchmark survey. Then the opportunity would be is what you'd be looking at from an investment perspective. Here's an organization that's and we go back to this opportunity in the benchmarks and the opportunity investment summary. This would be showing something that's probably cash flow positive.
Right.
When the entrepreneur is looking for that, and we go back to these type of opportunities, and you're looking at opportunities. Investors are looking for cash flow positive opportunities or opportunities that have return on investment. So you can see, they have an opportunity to look at cash flow positive opportunities. There's some great ways for the investors have a very similar dashboard looking at these opportunities. So the answer is yes. In fact, even more so. Investors today, again, this is being recorded in 2009 of May, but what we're seeing is they're looking for opportunities to invest in deals or projects that will accelerate growth, not concepts to be proven. Now that will change and will come back as this. Right now, there's very little risk capital in the marketplace, and the capital that's out there is focused on these types of companies, cash flow positive companies. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Dave, this is Terry Wong. Is there any provision or facility for tracking the performance of say, an approved deal in terms of whether they do get funding or what their performance is post funding?
Great question. I'll call it yes and no. It's better than SneakerNet now, but we've got opportunities. So within a particular angel group that's funding it, there are more steps here to track the actual investment due diligence and how that's performing. And some of those will be coming out in the future for, we'll call post-investment. So again, we're taking the 1% that actually did get funded and tracking them a little bit better. Today, right now, we rely upon the entrepreneurs to inform us that they receive funding, and we keep that in strictest confidence. So we only give that information that the entrepreneur received funding of a certain amount, and again, hold that in confidence, because generally that's not something either side publishes, both the angel group or not. So we do that by reaching out to the community. Right now, we strongly request that the entrepreneurs do, and our track record is better than the 1%, but we need to do a better job of capturing that information.
Well, I mean, at least from the IEEE TechMatch point of view, we would want to understand, what our, how well our recommendations are performing. So that would be a nice thing for us to be able to track and have as part of the system.
Right. We will be able to track those that got invested. Again, the part of the coaching that we like to give the entrepreneurs, remember that 1% that are seeking angel funding get it through SBA stats, and about 0.3%. So part of it is respecting the journey that you're on, and if you happen to be one of the very successful 1% or 0.3%, or better than average that we've seen through the site, we will be tracking that. So, yeah, believe me, it helps both IEEE and the Business Catapult to track those successes, and we'll be doing our best to provide all that information to all of our channel partners.
This is John again. If a plan goes forward and some point in time an investor who might be interested is going to want face-to-face before he makes any final decision, how do we know what happens there and who has responsibility of reporting on that sort of activity?
Well, that's a great question, too. The opportunity, in that case, we rely upon the entrepreneur to keep the group informed of what's going on. What we found is investors sometimes are like herding cats. They don't often report on their activities. A lot of times what we remember we're trying to do here is get people to that first or second coffee meet, and then some of this happens normally, as you might expect, through a process that might take 6 to 10 months, 12 months for an investment cycle. So the part of it is staying, let's call it IEEE TechMatch alumni, meaning they've kind of graduated through the process. We can maintain their email addresses and we'd be able to reach out very quickly with asking them for a periodic update. When we went to that event site, I go out every 3 to 6 months to that email group and ask those folks to tell me, is the company still in existence? Did you receive funding? Did you receive funding through this opportunity? So we would just recommend you guys doing the same thing.
That's a good idea.
The other thing would be helpful is some of those entrepreneurs can help the other entrepreneurs again, because they may have decided that venture funding is the most expensive money that they'll ever raise, and they found another way to achieve their plan, which is a win as well. So again, it depends on where you want to measure success. We measure success by usually jobs created and companies formed that are still in existence, not necessarily by angel funding and investment funding, because in times like today, a lot of that's dried up.
Okay.
So Scott, does anyone else have anything? Morrow had to hang up. And we can probably stop record as well.